Well, here we are, my friends. We're live, doing a little Facebook Live. This is on the YouTubes, my friend. This is only on YouTube today. And here's what we're going to be talking about. Have prices declined or have listings dropped? What's going on with buyers? What's going on with all the listings on Toronto Real Estate Board? Are we seeing things happening? I'm going to dig into the stats. I got some stats. I got my weekly report here. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at a few other highlights too, and perhaps our mortgage rates, what is going on with our 5-year mortgage rates and the bond yields and everything like that. So in the next few minutes, that's what we're going to do. Let's roll the intro. I'll see you on the other side. Well, as I said, we're going to talk about mortgage rates and all sorts of things. There's the dancing gear right there. Make sure you reach out to me. Many have to talk about real estate. Have some questions. What's happening with our market and everything along that. I know we are getting some news about interest rates, especially here in Canada and in the GTA area. Some interesting things. We've seen our 5-year fixed rates drop a little bit, which perhaps is a good sign, perhaps going to provide a little bit of stability into our market. You see, we've had a number of home sellers over the last several months confused, not knowing what to do. And when you are confused, you tend to do nothing. So we had our first day of spring the other day. And what does that mean to our listings? Are people hanging on to their listing inventory? Perhaps that's the case too. So let's share my screen. Let's look at some stats and figure out what's going on together here in the Toronto area. And we're going to be looking at all of the Toronto Real Estate Board. So these are all the stats for the Toronto Real Estate Board on a weekly view. And let's just see what we got here. So here's my little screen share. And this report, I'll make it available. If you're watching live, awesome. If you're on the replay, we'll put the link below so you can download the report and go through it. So as always, a little bit of comparison from this year versus last year. So the gray numbers here are this year versus last year, and our listings are down, my friends. And we're going to look at that in a little bit more specific information here. And also you can see the list price down ever so slightly. That's the list price, not the sold price. The list price is down ever so slightly year over year. And if you didn't want to watch anymore, take a snapshot of this and there you have it. That's the market report. But if you want more information, stay with me. Stay with me. Okay, let's scroll down. The first thing we're going to look at is total listings. And as I said, we are down a little bit. And I want everyone to focus. I'm going to move myself out of the way a little bit here. I want everyone to focus on this area down here. And what we see here is a number of listings are down ever so slightly from the previous week. We're going to call it at 300 listings. Now, last week in Toronto and most of Ontario, what did we have? We had March break. That's always the case. Listings are always going to be down during March break. And we've been hovering at about 3,000 listings per week since the beginning of March. And I suspect this week when the numbers come out, we're going to be at about 30. My guess is going to be about 3,100, 3,200. And then the week after that, we might hit that 3,500 threshold. And that's about what we need going forward for the next several months. We probably need about 35 to 4,000 new units every month. New listings come up because right now we are at an all-time low in listings this time of year. We don't normally see this amount of listings. We obviously see a lot more than that. Which begs the question as we kind of go through this, and there's an article that we're going to look at. Where are the buyers? Well, maybe the better question is, where are the sellers? So those go hand in hand, and we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail in just a second here. So average list price, there's our average list price. You can see in the middle of February, our average list price got up to 1.36. Right now, we're hovering at 1.23 in all of Toronto Real Estate Board. That's our list price. That's not sold price. That's our list price. And as we move a little bit farther down, there's really no rhyme or reason if, by the day, if you're going to list your house, what day should you pick? We're going to look at something. We're going to go by the day of what day yielded the most and yielded the least for the properties. I always find that really intriguing. Total inventory costs. Well, that's just the number of all the homes listed. What is that inventory cost? And we're still hovering at about 3 billion, which is good. But we do need more. We need more listings for sure. Okay, total sales. Let's look at the number of sales. So we've been seeing 1600, and of course down just below, it dipped into the 1400s here. And again, that was March break. That's because people tend to go away, take a step back, and you had March break there. I always say, if you're around, if you're a buyer and you're staying in the area, it might be a good opportunity for you to go put an offer in on a property because there might be less competition. Just saying. So look for that over the holiday seasons. If you know, kind of keep that in your mind going forward. If there's a holiday coming up, you might just want to stick around and just see see what's being offered there. But those are our total sales, and you'll see the least. You know, homes tend to sell the least on the weekend, which is interesting. We normally see Monday and Tuesdays is the higher month or the higher day, but here it was Wednesday and Friday, which is interesting. And as I scroll down, we're going to see the average sale price. Now, this is the important one. Yeah, we're going to see a decrease this year versus last year. That's understandable. That should be of no surprise. But have a look here. This is the average sales price. And if you can see here, we are still hovering at $1.6 million. So we're still over that million range here in Treb. On a Vol Toronto Real Estate Board, down a little bit from the previous week. However, I believe this week and going forward, we're going to see that rise a little bit because what do we know? We're starting to see multiple offers. We've been seeing that for about 3-4 weeks now. I know there's a number of listings that came out in the area that I tend to watch, Aurora Newmarket, and a number of those listings that are priced really, really well. When I mean well, they're not shooting for the stars and they're not terribly low. They are at they're at a market value, we'll call it. And they're holding offers. They got offer dates on them. So we'll see. We'll see over the next week or so what that's going to produce. I find that really intriguing. Okay, as we scroll down here, average list to sale ratio. So when you list your house, how much is it going to sell for? Well, we can see that we are still hovering at 100%. So that tells me a lot. We have a lot of home sellers, listing agents, buyers, all in a line with what the market value is. Now, we are seeing, if you follow Twitter, we are seeing a number of properties being posted that perhaps had multiple offers and going, $100,000 over asking price. We're seeing that. And will we start to see more and more of that? Perhaps. But what I can tell you is it's still less than where the market was a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And in fact, we're seeing some sellers that have purchased 2 years ago selling at a loss today. And so we just got to really kind of peel that onion away and see what's going on with that. So average days on market, let's flip back to that. Average days on market, we're certainly seeing that going in alignment. Now, I've been saying since January that we should start seeing this going up. And I was completely wrong here because I didn't expect our listings to remain so far down. We need more listings. And right now we're hovering at, we'll call it 3 weeks. We're just shy of 3 weeks, 20 days. But that's still a buyer. If you look at it, that's still an imbalance. That's still a seller's market. So buyers, that's why we're seeing some of those multiple offers. We need more listings. I truly thought we'd be hitting the 28 to 30 days on market. I did not expect to see, or lack thereof, not see the listings. I thought we would certainly see more listings, which would help the days on market. Total sales volume, this is the end of the report. Of course, that's going to hover around 1.7. We need that number higher. That's, of course, all the homes that have been listed. What are they sold for? That's where that comes into play here. So let me just go back up here. I always find this really interesting. If you are, let's go right back to here. Sales, the average sale price. If you were negotiating on a property as a seller, you wanted to negotiate on the Saturday. As a buyer, interesting. Friday was the best day to negotiate on that property. But at the end of the day, we need more inventory. And I truly believe, I know I was talking to a few agents the other week saying, we're just taking the homes and the sellers are getting ready to list their property. They're doing that over March break. And this week, and as we enter into April, like always, that's when we see the number of listings jump up. Okay, so I found this interesting. Let me share my screen one more time. And here's what we got here. This is from the Toronto Star. Home shoppers are just saying no as GTA single family home sales hit a record low. So home shoppers, who are they saying? What are they saying here? And we can go through the article, but I'm just going to take the headline of the article, and here's what that article is telling me. If I kind of look at that, and I've read it. We do have home buyers, shoppers that they're not saying no. They're just saying that the current inventory is not for me. Yet when they do see something, they're putting their house up for sale right away. So we kind of have like this teeter-tottering effect going back and forth, that if I can just find a house suitable for me, I'm putting mine on the market. So there's going to be that moment in time where they stop looking and they just put that home on the market. As I said, we're starting to see some sellers having to come to market for financial reasons, and we're starting to see our mortgage rates drop from a 5-year fixed perspective, because what's happening is large investors are now buying, they're taking their money out of the equities, out of the stocks and that sort of thing, and they're putting their money into bonds, fixed income. And that means that bond rate that got so amazingly awesome as an investor, that number starts to come down ever so slightly. So the interest rate that you're going to get from that bond, that comes back down. And what does that have? That has a lagging effect, typically about a 3-month effect. It lags for our interest rates. So that means our interest rates are ever going to come down ever so slightly. I'm not talking like rock bottom, like where they were at 2% or less than 3%. We're probably talking at about low 4s. I don't know if it creeps into that 3.9 area. I know perhaps when it does, and if it does again this year, I don't know if it'll do that this year, you'll see a buying frenzy for sure. Well, what's happening right now is people are coming to terms and coming to grips and seeing the new financial outcome, or the new financial landscape here in Canada because of the interest rates. So there you have it. We're starting to see. We're having more conversations with sellers about getting their homes ready and get on the market, like we do every year this time this season. So we're into spring now. There's still snow in areas in York region. However, in the Toronto area, I believe we're going to see an influx of listings. How many? I'm not sure, but I certainly hope that we see an influx, because we've all read the stories and seen the stats, especially over the last week. The Canadian government announced there had been 1 million new immigrants to Canada. And of course, the majority of those end up here in Toronto and Vancouver. And we've seen stories, all sorts of things about, people having to rent hotels for months at a time and everything. And there's actually been some interesting talk. I don't know if this will ever happen though. Interesting talk about, why don't we just bring in a cruise ship to house some of these people for an X amount of time, so that alleviates some of the cost associated with the high rentals and everything else right now. I know when I was in Qatar for the World Cup, they brought in, I think it was 3, maybe even 4 cruise ships just to help with the hotels and to alleviate some of that stress that's being put on. So I don't know if that's even viable here. I have no idea, but that'd be interesting to see. Love to hear your comments and read your comments on that. So there you go. The market report. What's happening in Toronto? We need more listings. Right. So if you're that seller that's just kind of sitting there waiting, maybe now is an opportunity, because there is not a lot of competition in a sense. And as I said, we're seeing days, and as we just looked, we're seeing days on market hovering in around that 20 days. And if we are priced accordingly, that home is definitely selling. We're not seeing many relists right now. We are certainly seeing a little bit of influx of power of sale properties, but not many. The power of sale properties, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole right now, but power of sale, here's what we're seeing. We're not seeing the big banks pull power of sale. Now, we'll always see 1 or 2, okay? But what we're seeing is private equity funds pull power of sale. So that meant that borrower was already at a high risk borrower because they couldn't go to an A lender, perhaps not even a B lender. They had to go to the private equity or private financing in order to acquire that house. And in most cases, the houses have only been in the hands of that owner for, I'm going to say 12 to 24, maybe even 36 months, so less than 3 years. And those are the homes. So those mortgages are coming coming up for renewal. Maybe it's just a 24-month mortgage term, and they're coming up for renewal. So they're going from, we'll just call it, they're going from already maybe 4% to maybe even 6 or 7% because they're a high risk borrower, and they're not being able to stay ahead of the payment. So that's what we're seeing. That's the power sales that are coming to market right now. And are we seeing opportunities or deals in the power sale? No, not right yet. Not right yet. And that's based on, because there's probably no equity in those homes. It's also based on our laws here in Ontario that the seller or the lender that's taken the power sale property has to prove that they've been able to market that home at fair market value. Right. So anyways, there you have it. Download the report, reach out to me. We'll see everybody in the next video. Bye for now.